What's up everyone, my name is Kelsey. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a TBR, so all the books I plan to read in February. I am participating in 2 readathons this month. They both last the whole month, so there's a lot of freedom in your reading choices. The first is Female February, or Female Feb. I think there are 2 going on that I know of, so I'll leave them both linked down below. The only prompt that I'm doing for Female February, wow, that's like getting to be a tongue twister. Anyways, I only plan to read female or sapphic main character books through the whole month of February. There are other challenges that you can meet in the readathon, so make sure you check them out if you're interested, but that's the only one I plan to do. The second readathon is VaLITines, which has been renamed to Book Web VaLITines, so it's open to everyone on the internet that's into books rather than just BookTube. VaLITines is organized by Cait over at Chapter Cait, and it's also being co-hosted by Sarah, Leah, Princess, and Brody, and I'll leave all of their channels linked down below along with the announcement video. There are a lot of fun things going on with this readathon. So there's not only a bingo board of reading challenges, there's also going to be photo and video challenges, and there's a buddy read roulette thing going on that I signed up for. By the time this video goes up, it's closed, but you know, you could make your own buddy read. There's no rules against that. And there's also going to be Twitter sprints, and I'm going to be hosting a couple of the Twitter sprints, and based on the calendar that's put together, most of every day for the whole month, someone is going to be running reading sprints. So there's always going to be a chance for you to get in on that if you're interested. I'll leave the readathon Twitter link down below, so if you want to get in on that, you can follow the Twitter account. And I'll also leave the days and times that I will be leading reading sprints if you want to come hang out with me. So, on to the books and the challenges I plan to do. There is a whole bingo board for this challenge, and I think it's a 5x5 square, so there's 25 total challenges. Not all of them are book challenges. Some of them are like spreading the book web love rather than reading an actual book. So I plan to make a cross, so the middle column and the middle row. So the first challenge I'm doing is Love Triangle. Read a book that is part of a trilogy. So for this, I'm doing Impossible Contract by K.A. Dorr. This is the sequel to The Perfect Assassin by K.A. Dorr. This is the second book in the trilogy, and the series follows a few different people from this assassin guild in a fantasy desert city, and this second book follows Thana after she receives a contract for assassination of a really high-profile person. The second challenge is Not My Type, a book or medium out of your comfort zone. So for this, I'm reading The Never Tilting World by Ren Chapeko. This I'm reading as an ebook. And I do read ebooks fairly regularly, but I'm still counting this as out of my comfort zone because it's by far my least read format. I read physical books and audiobooks pretty constantly. Next is You See Me. Read a book that you feel represents you in some way. So for this one, I'm reading Iron and Velvet by Alexis Hall, and this is another one I'm going to read as an ebook, hopefully. And this is an urban fantasy. Let me just find the description because I don't recall exactly. Goodreads is doing that thing where it pretends it doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about unless I type it in exactly. There. So this is the first book in a series. It's a paranormal fantasy about a woman named Cait who is a private investigator. So the description for the listing on Amazon, the first line is, I like my women like I like my whiskey more than is good for me. So pretty much that's why I'm considering this a You See Me book. So this book was recommended to me when I was requesting urban fantasy setting books, but with female pairings, because I've read a few urban fantasies with male pairings, and you know, I need more lesbians in my life, I guess. But it follows Cait Cain, and she's investigating a murder after she's hired by like a super hot 800-year-old vampire princess. So, all right, next. Library Lovers Month, a book from the library. So for this, I am reading The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Hanada Petrus. This is a contemporary about a teen girl in Trinidad who is caught with another girl, and as a result is sent to live with her father in America, Minneapolis to be specific. And she meets another girl when she gets there, and they form like a really deep connection, and they're kind of navigating a new friendship but also romantic feelings for each other. And this has gotten rave reviews from a couple of reviewers I trust and follow, so hopefully that's good. Next is One Man's Trash, a book you've seen someone hate or unhaul. For this, I'm going with Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nan. This is book 2 in the Girls of Paper and Fire series, and I've seen several people give this 1 or 2 stars and say they disliked it. And most of the complaints I've seen have said that they don't enjoy the main character Leah and that they thought the plot was nonsensical. I guess that's a good way to say it. Boring and didn't go anywhere. But I really enjoyed Girls of Paper and Fire, and I have hopes that I'll enjoy it because I know I also saw quite a few negative reviews for Girls of Paper and Fire. The prompt is right. One man's trash. Next is Setup, a book recommended to you by someone in your life. So for this one, I have Open Me Carefully, Emily Dickinson's Intimate Letters to Susan Huntington Dixon. And this is, edited by Ellen Louise Hart and Martha Nell Smith. This was recommended to me by my brother's girlfriend, and after I took a literature course and discovered Emily Dickinson for the first time at 29 years old, which is ridiculous, and completely loved her, and am very confused about why there is so much emphasis put on Emily Dickinson's very few and far between limited communication with her potential, what could have been male romantic partners, when she wrote hundreds and hundreds of what could be interpreted as romantic letters to Susan Huntington. So I was ranting about that a little bit, and this book was recommended to me if I was interested in that topic. So next is Longtime Crush, a book you've been meaning to get to for a while. And for this, I'm finally reading the booktube darling, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This I've put off because I tend to not like historical. And by historical, I mean anything set before like 1970. But if you're not familiar, this follows a Cuban, I think she's Cuban, a Cuban actress who hires a woman to write her life story, and she is telling the interviewer her life story from beginning to end, starting in the 50s as a young actress and working to the present. I know the main character in this is bisexual, and there's multiple relationships that it covers. Obviously, she was married 7 times, and I've heard Evelyn is a super complex character that you come to care for deeply, and she feels very realistic, but at the same time, you get angry at some of the decisions she makes. And I'm into that kind of complex character storytelling. All right, those are all the books I have set aside for the VaLITines prompts. I'm also doing a buddy read, but those assignments aren't out until, I don't know, the beginning of next week. So I don't know what book I'm reading for that yet. But I also wanted to go through the other female books I have on my shelf, ready in case, because I'm a mood reader and I need to have lots of options. In case one of these books is not appealing to me, I have a bunch of other options, and I'm just going to go through these super quickly without a lot of detail. So first I have The Edge of the Abyss by Emily Skrutsky. This is book 2 in The Abyss. What is it called? The I don't know the name of the series. Maybe it's just The Abyss Surrounds Us. Anyways, The Abyss Surrounds Us is one of my most recommended books. It's one of my favorite female fantasies, and I can't wait to get to this one. Next, I have Heavy Vinyl by, let's see, who is this? Oh my gosh, there's 4 people. I'm not going to read them. This follows like a group of queer feminist teens that work at a record store in the 80s. And it turns out they're also like an underground vigilante group. That sounds awesome. Then We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor Key Mejia. This is, I literally have no idea what this is about. What is this about? I don't really know. It was recommended to me several times by a few different people, so we're giving it a shot. I think it's a fantasy duology, a boldly feminist look at freedom, family, and fighting the power, and it's also queer. So then we have Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole. This is a tiny romance novella. I just realized I have no idea if I can read this out of order with the other books, so I'm gonna have to look into that. Then we have Crier's War by Nina Varela. This is another one that I've had for a couple months now, but I just haven't gotten to it because I don't know. I've heard really good things and some just okay things, and it made me nervous about my expectations. So now that some time has passed, I feel like I could better go into it without ridiculous, stupid high expectations. Then we have Kissing the Witch by Emma Donoghue. This is a collection of stories about witches based on some classic age-old stories, but with a queer twist. Then we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This I have heard really excellent things and some just okay things also. It's another situation where I wanted to give myself some time, but the tagline is lesbian necromancers in space. Then we have Honest Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. This is a giant graphic novel, and I've heard it has plenty of slow burn romance and found family, and it's set in space. So heavy. Then we have This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El-Mohtar. This is, I don't know, I've heard this as like a time travel Romeo and Juliet, but female. And I've also heard that the writing is stunning. I'm not usually one for purple prose, but we'll see how it goes. There's a time and a place. Sometimes I like it. Then last, I have A Song for a New Day by Sarah Pinsker. This is one of my most anticipated releases of last year, and I've been putting it off for no reason. But it's set in the near future. This is kind of a spec fic where, because of outbreaks of disease and terrorist attacks, I said I wasn't going to give summaries of these, and here I am giving a summary. Oh well. Anyways, the government has banned gatherings of large groups of people, but one of our main characters is a musician, and she holds underground gatherings to get her music out in the open. And our other character wants to organize virtual concerts for people on the internet, but in order to do so, she has to venture out in public, which she hasn't done since the before. All right, so those are all the books I have to talk about. Let me know if you're participating in either of these readathons and what your TBRs look like. I'd love to hear. Also, if you want to come hang out with me during Twitter sprints for VaLITines, that would be awesome. I post book-related videos every Wednesday, so if you want to see more, subscribe. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to keep talking, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Kelsey Reads or Goodreads at Kelsey Lynn Reads. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.